Hey y'all, welcome to Shade in the City. It's your girl Treese here, and of course, we're here to get into what? Beyond the Gates, of course. Season 1, episode 149. So this would have been today's episode Monday. So, y'all get a three-peat today, okay? And happy Indigenous People Day to all those. Hopefully you enjoyed either your time off or it was just a quieter day at work for you. But anyway, y'all, so all my Shade Squad and my new viewers, if you have not already, please go ahead, do me a big favor and hit that like button for me. And if you're new here and you liking the vibe, please do me a favor and go ahead and subscribe, y'all. And let's go ahead and get into this episode. Unfortunately, I don't know who lied to us and made us think. I have to go back in the Twitter feed to who started this rumor. But we absolutely had to see Ashley and Derek today. But we're going to talk about it and we're going to get into it. And let's get shady, y'all.
Skyline pain, shade in the city, true hits like a banger. I said it, I meant it, no need for disclaimers. Haters right away, but they just false claimers. Concrete beats are heavy like cinder. Looking for one, but the streets feel winter. No filters, no edits, I'm raw with my splinters. My life a movie, they watching the trailers. I'm not gonna hold you. Shade in the city, the life and the mood. You like and subscribe if you feeling the vibe. This is my word, I just let you inside. Said it, I said it, I'm not gonna hold you. Shade in the city, my words gon' console you. Like and subscribe if you feeling the vibe.
I get it. I get it. Every day can't be good. Okay. So we start off this episode where we left off with Danny and Andre. So she told him that she wanted him to take a step back and, decide if being married to her is what he really wants. And so, of course, Andre is doing what he does and, down on my knees, baby, baby, please type stuff. So Andre is like, where is all this coming from? And why all of a sudden are you questioning how I feel about you? Because, I'll step on my own heart just to let you step on it. You know what I'm saying? She brings up the subject of kids and is like, well, how do you know that you're not going to wake up one day and decide that you do want your own kids? And obviously I'm not doing that. That road has ended. Okay. So she says, yeah, I need you to make a decision. And no matter what you decide, we'll always have Vegas. So then Naomi comes over and interrupts and basically wants Andre to go, like make himself disappear, which he does, with no problem, so that Danny and Naomi can have some privacy. Now, we unfortunately get DNA, Derek and Ashley, okay? And they're talking about wedding planning and trying to lock down a venue. And mind you, this is all at the hospital because, he's there for physical therapy. That's probably more than y'all even wanted to know. And then Shanice comes over and Ashley asks her to be one of the bridesmaids because she's been so supportive of her and Derek since his accident. Yay, confetti. Then we get this scene with Leslie down at Orphe Jeans giving June a hard time on the job. So yeah, so June starts oversharing about how, look, I just started my job, and Leslie tells her, okay, well, by the way, that table over there, you need to go ahead and take care of that. And so June was like, okay, did you used to be a waitress or something like that? And Leslie's like, yes, that's before I found out that I was a part of music royalty. And she points to the Articulates picture on the wall. We're talking about how my mama built that group, basically, which I guess I got to give her that, right? Even Anita says that. So Leslie can't help but brag about her new home that's being built in Fairmont Crest. And June was like, yeah, so Orphe Jeans is kind of like a chill, like a relaxing spot. And yeah, you might want to go somewhere where they cater to the high maintenance types, impatient and making demands like yourself. And so then Ted happens to walk into Orphe Jeans, and so June was like, you know what, that's okay, girl, I'll come back and maybe check on you later, but my favorite customer just walked in, which of course we know Leslie is not happy about that. Okay. Over at the country club, Vanessa and Nicole meet, and Vanessa admits that, look, it's been a long time since me and Doug actually enjoyed being married to each other. And, unfortunately, there's some guilt wrapped up in my grief. And Nicole said, well, that's to be expected. I mean, you were screwing all of Fairmont Crest, unhappily married. Okay, so Nicole tells her, well, yeah, that should be expected. And she was like, do you want to talk about it as friends? And Vanessa said, yeah, as friends, but don't bring your judgy therapeutics over here with your opinions, as friends, okay? So Vanessa tells her, look, I need Donnell to take us back to Banneker. Okay. But he want to stay. He trying to be the man around the house. And Nicole was like, oh, well, that makes sense. He wants to fill Doug's shoes. And Vanessa said, no, no, no. There's nothing to fill because Doug won't never home no damn way. And so anytime I did need something, I had to call somebody for it. Was like, so can you please do me a solid as someone who is really good at persuading people, and please convince my son and persuade it to go back to school. So mama, because mama got to have a life too. Okay. And so that's when Nicole asked her, well, are you just afraid that Donnell might see you holding Joey's hand instead, or worse? God forbid he walk in on what Doug walked in on. But anyway, so speaking of Donnell, he done ran his happy butt down to the casino, and he claims he's there to thank Joey for his support for, him, his family, of course. And then Joey was like, well, that's what friends are for. You know what I'm saying? That's why we got to have them. And Donnell said, well, no, that's why we got to have family. And so for now, we good. We good. Thanks, Joey. We appreciate your help. But I'm staying here. I ain't going nowhere. And I got this from now on. And I said, bless your heart, little boy. So back over at Orphy Jeans, June is over here just cackling at Ted. One of those like, real type of flirting where just everything a person says is funny, even when it's not funny. That's what June was giving, okay? Ted apologizes for unloading on June the last time he was there, and they're both definitely flirting with each other. And so Chelsea and Samantha happen to walk in, and I really kind of didn't understand this scene because Chelsea is telling her she wants to talk to her about something because Samantha's like, well, where's Cat? Chelsea starts talking about how successful the Chelsea Cat launch was and how the mamas are buying the bags for the daughters and themselves, and thanks Samantha for her help. And then Chelsea, I guess, starts having a heart-to-heart with Samantha and asks her, how has it been finding your mom? And Samantha says that, it's been the best. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess this is a scene we didn't know we needed. So then we jump back over to Danny's house where Danny fills Naomi in that basically she gave Andre a get out of wedlock free card due to pressure that she's been getting from everyone. So Naomi is confused as hell and was like, you gonna let that man divorce you? And Danny was like, look, girl, I just want him to be happy. And I know I can admit that we are at different places in our lives, and I am not willing to be flexible about certain things. And he may change his mind one day. So he need to make a choice. So she was like, if we, Danny believes if they ignore the differences now, it could come back to bite them in the future. So Naomi was like, yeah, I can definitely relate to that situation. And speaking of babies, and then her mama was like, oh, my child is my child, which child? And so of course, potential grandmother vibes. Danny is hype, right? So then we see, y'all, this is things that literally nobody asked for. So Alex is the elevator lady who had the elevator baby that Ashley and Andre delivered. Okay. So she comes by to bring baby Ashley Andrea to visit with Ashley when, of course, conveniently, Andre walks off the elevator all excited to see the baby. That's all I got. So then we do see Shanice. She's doing PT with Derek. So yeah, they doing the PT, and she was like, oh, so what did Ashley say when, you told her you were regaining feeling in your legs? And Derek was like, I'm gonna be honest, I ain't told her. I felt some type of way because I saw her with Andre. So I'm just gonna keep sitting in this chair pretending that I can't move. Derek brings up how he heard Ashley say, like, it's, basically it's a good thing that he went off and got married. And Shanice was like, well, she disagrees with him and was like, well, maybe she said that because she's really over him and she about to be a married woman and she don't need him floating around here in her face like he always is. So she was like, why are you playing with fire? Derek, as usual, giving excuses. And then he starts getting all fired up about why Andre is always around when Shanice realizes that, oh, you can move your legs. So you really playing in our face. So y'all know Vanessa is still down at the country club and trying to convince Nicole that Joey is just her business partner and he's a friend. And so Nicole was like, oh, like the other friends that you done had before. And so Vanessa said, look, what I got with Joey's different. Okay. And so Nicole warns Vanessa, look, Joey's dangerous. I done tried to tell you. And Vanessa said, I hear what you're saying, but that's not the Joey I experience. Okay. That's not my experience. Nicole lets her know, look, Joey's just sizing you up before he goes in for the kill. He asked Vanessa, like, why are you doing this to yourself? So Vanessa was like, no, I think Joey is just so smart and considerate. And, he really has been there for us since Doug is passed. And so then Vanessa starts to turn on her and was like, hold on. I asked you before we even started this conversation not to be judgy. And here you go doing what you do best. And now you over here analyzing me. And I don't like that shit. Nicole said, look, I know, and girl, Joey ain't it. And she said, and Donnell and Deanna really need you right now. Before Vanessa blurts out, well, Donnell already know. And I said, girl, no, he don't. Back over at the casino, we know Donnell has went down there to see Joey. And he tells Donnell that, I think that we have a lot in common. He brings up how he wasn't raised behind the gates, but he tries to get Donnell to see that, brother, you really shouldn't give up on your dreams because you ain't really made it nowhere yet. You know what I'm saying? And so Donnell was like, nah, it's time for me to step up. And Joey sits him down and said, okay, well, this is a major decision. So let's talk about it. Let's put it on the flow, okay? Joey's like, oh, so what's going to happen if your mama decides she's going to stop working? So Donnell's like, no, I'll take care of everything. I'll take care of all the bills. And he was like, how you going to do that on an entry-level salary? And because you ain't finished your degree. How's that going to work? So basically, Joey is trying to get him to see that it's a lot more than Donnell thinks it is. So back at Orphe Genius, June was like, so last time you here, you were, talking about your wife. Is that still a wife? Is that still a thing? And so Ted said, look, unfortunately, Nicole's days as my wife are numbered, and she is absolutely elated about it. June was like, aren't you supposed to have a new lease on life after divorce? And Ted tells her, well, you know what? At this point, I'm just really happy that my granddaughter is still talking to me because we know Samantha is sitting there with Chelsea. That's when June makes the connection that, oh, Ted is Samantha's grandfather, right? That's when Leslie comes over to confront her and warn her, stay away from Ted. She over here trying, and so June was like, are you the wife? And she over here acting like she's the wife and warns June, you need to stay out of my way. And so June lets Leslie know, baby girl, the things that I've seen in my lifetime, you don't scare me. I told them, mother, I ain't never scared. I ain't never scared. I ain't never scared. Hey, that's an old throwback. I miss those days. Anyway, so then Leslie threatens June. Well, look, if you make moves on Ted, you gonna FAFO. So did anybody else find it weird that when Ted goes over to talk to Samantha, he's talking about how he watched all her videos, and Samantha is telling him about how Martin moved out again. And that's when the revelation comes out that June is Samantha's birth mother. But literally, Chelsea was sitting there the whole time. And I said, did you not ask her once as her uncle and someone who cares about her? Like, oh, I'm glad to see that you, is it me? Maybe it's something I missed. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention because I was irritated with Ashley and Derek. But anyway. So Ted just can't believe, he's like, not after everything I heard. That's your mama? Oh, okay. Okay. On his way out, Leslie slides in and said, hey, Ted. And so he's like, hey, and goodbye. And she said, what you need to say goodbye to is that street urchin over there. And I said, not being not June being an urchin. That's not right. Derek and Shanice are, working on his physical therapy. He's excited. He got feelings back in his leg. He's still on this I want to surprise Ashley kick. Shanice tries to talk sense into him and lets him know that, surprises on any woman's wedding day really aren't welcome or cute. Alex has invited Ashley and Andre to the baby's Halloween party. What did I tell y'all we was going to get a Halloween episode? Drop down in the comments. Let me know who's dressing as what. I told y'all. So they dressing the cute little baby, Ashley, Alex, double A, they dressing the cute little baby as a nurse photographer. And literally, y'all, I ain't even gonna hold you. Like I said on Twitter, I literally got up and I started doing whatever else I needed to do for my day. And I said, I'll come back later. I said, y'all gotta be playing in my face, right? So here come Derek rolling around the corner. He overhears, about this whole Halloween party. So he's like, oh, and so he's like, well, hey, did you know, Ashley's engaged? I know you see it. You know what I'm saying? Ashley's like, yeah, yeah, I'm with him. Yeah. And so she was like, well, you can come too. I mean, I mean, I got stairs, but yeah, you can come. And so he's like, don't worry about that. I'll be there. And he's like, Andre, is Danny gonna be there? And I said, we all gonna be at the Halloween party together. And I came to see who's what. What day does Halloween land on anyway? What day does it land on? Is it a Friday? I'm sorry, y'all. Um, oh snap. Friday is it lands on a Friday this year. So I imagine we're gonna get our Halloween episodes the 30th and 31st. We'll see. Back over at Danny's house, Danny and Naomi are just talking about how Jacob, wants her to reconsider the whole decision about kids. And Naomi tells Danny that, she feels like she ruined her mama's life. And Danny's like surprised to hear Naomi talk like that. And so Naomi talks about how, at one point her and Chelsea had, found evidence of Danny's, amazing and thriving career. And she knows that her mother gave that all up for, Bill and them. And Danny tells Naomi that, yeah, but she said, yeah, but please understand, before there was Chelsea, there was Danny Dupree, okay? And I was the influencer of influencers because I made motherhood look good. And do you know how many babies? It was a baby boom after I had you. Naomi was like, I just don't ever see me being that. And she's like, honestly, I really have what I want. And so Danny was like, well, how do you feel about, all these changes, what's going on with your body? And Naomi just breaks down. So clearly, I'm not going to say she's not happy. We're going to use the word overwhelmed, which even if she, was happy about the baby, you can be overwhelmed. So we're going to use the word overwhelmed. Okay. Now, back at the casino, Joey has offered Donnell a job as a dealer. And Donnell was like, I don't think that's right nor cute to make money the same place that my dad spent his last night. So Donnell was like, does it ever bother you that you know all of the nonsense and foolishness that goes on, in the dark behind here? And Joey was like, no, not really. I get my money. You know what I'm saying? Donnell says, look, well, I appreciate you caring about my mama and I appreciate the job offer, but I got it now. So kindly back the off. So back at the country club, it's Vanessa Nicole. And she's shocked to learn that so soon after losing Doug that Vanessa would expose Donnell to Joey. Rightfully so. I think this scene was hard because Nicole was absolutely right. Not only as a therapist, as a friend as well. But because Nicole has been so judgy, it's hard to be like I understood Vanessa's point of view, but I understood Nicole, and it needed to be said. So stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? So Vanessa was like, so are you calling me a bad mother now? So Nicole said, look, I'm just trying to be a good friend. And so Vanessa said, well, if you're trying to be a good friend, then you know what? Me and you better make room for Joey because we're a package deal now, whether you Dr. Nicole approves or not. So then of course, Vanessa gets a text from Joey and she's like, you know what? I got to go. And Nicole's like, no, please stay. And Vanessa said, you know what, Dr. Dupree? When you find my friend Nicole, then you tell her to text me. And I said, you done messed around and pissed Vanessa off. So Samantha has introduced June to Chelsea, and Samantha and June are discussing how, at this time they're still learning each other, but, they got time to do it. And June just wants to confirm, oh, so Ted is your granddaddy. Okay, okay. Like I find that hard to believe, and especially him speaking to someone like me. You know what I'm saying? But Chelsea lets her know, June, you are somebody. Okay. As Nicole is leaving the country club, she runs into Leslie, unfortunately, and so Leslie has to remind her that, oh, hey, by the way, don't forget, soon we'll be neighbors. Won't you be my neighbor? I'll be across the street, and at the moment, I'm currently living with Ted. Nicole said, "Girl, bullshit." All right. And so Leslie said, well, you know what? It's just only a matter of time for me and Ted. And so then she starts mentioning how, oh, so yeah. And I also heard that our daughters like to play with the same toy. She accuses this delusional accuses Kat of coming after Eva's man. And she warns Nicole, if Kat keeps coming for Eva, she's gonna have to give her home training that Nicole never did. And Nicole said, I know you're not threatening my family. And Leslie said, I've been a threat since I crossed state lines, sweetheart. And she warns Nicole, you better keep a short leash on that cat. Nicole fires back that if you come for my family, whatever you're going to throw is going to come back sharper, tenfold, like they say in the Bible. And it knows exactly where to land. And I said, that's right. We moved back over to the hospital, things that nobody cares about. Andre somehow feels like after seeing this baby that this is a reminder that there's a connection that he and Ashley haven't explored. Moving on to Danny's house. Naomi really opens up to her mom and said, "Look, I really do not want a child, and I really am invested in my work, and that's my life." And so she, at some point, accuses Danny of making her feel as if she's a monster. Which I was like, "Where? How did that happen?" Because Danny has been nothing but loving and supporting this whole conversation. But okay, girl, if you want to yell at somebody because you can't yell at your husband, okay, misdirection. But anyway, so Danny lets her know, girl, I'm not disappointed in you, and I want you to do whatever's best for you, despite how your husband may feel, because he knew what it was when he signed up. Okay. And so Danny then gets a call from Andre, and she said, "Girl, don't feel bad. I got it's decision day in my relationship, and I got you going on too." Okay. So then we see, oh my God, this for me was like, I felt so bad for Vanessa, especially all that smoke she was trying to give Nicole. So Vanessa goes down to the casino to see Joey. And Joey lets her know that, look, I've been thinking about you. No, 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 no. And so no, so Joey lets her know, look, I've been thinking about us. And she was like, well, me too. I just, got out of a disagreement with one of my good friends about us. Joey tells her, girl, you need to go patch that up. Because this right here, it's over. It's over now. Move over. It's my turn now. The game shut down. Hey, sorry. So yeah, y'all, and that was the end of episode 149 of Beyond the Gates. If you guys have not already, please make sure that you like the video. Make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you're following us on all the platforms. That's the TikTok, the Twitter, the Facebook, the IG, the Blue Sky, and the Lemonade. And I will catch y'all tomorrow for Tuesday, episode 150, y'all, of Beyond the Gates. I love y'all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.